Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host Saeed. So, a little update for you. The firearm dealers and range operator are calling for urgent reform to the Trinidad and Tobago firearm licensing system, saying years of delays, outdated procedures, and lack of transparency are putting public safety at risk. The group, which plan to officially register as the Trinidad and Tobago Firearm Dealers and Range Operator Association, has submitted a detailed reform proposal to the government. The group met with Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander to present their recommendation paper, which outlined a 10-step technology-driven process aimed at fixing what they described as a broken and biased system. The current system is plagued by delays, a public distrust. That is what they are saying. So hopefully we will share more news of them, viewers, as they relate more to the Minister of Homeland Security. That is in the coming weeks also. And hopefully we should hear what the Minister of Homeland Security have to say concerning the reforming of those individuals. Now, current affairs, which we all know in Trinidad and Tobago, viewers. The Ministry of Culture and Community Development has appointed a new board of commissioner for the National Carnival Commission, the NCC, of Trinidad and Tobago, led by Chairman Peter Kanhai. According to a media release, the board was officially installed by Minister Michelle Benjamin on July 16, 2025. Their key priorities included preparing for Carnival 2026, enhancing governance and transparency, expanding global marketing, and deepening community engagement. The ministry emphasized the importance of Carnival as a culture and economic driven and pledged full support to the new board in modernizing and elevating the festival international profile. So viewers, let's wish them all the best in 2026 Carnival as they prepare for it. In tonight's news, People's National Movement, PNM Chairman Marvin Gonzalez is voicing concerns over an imbalanced ethnic and racial composition among the newly appointed state board under the United National Congress government. Gonzalez said, the minister said the appointment or the appointing board member was a difficult task. Listen to Gonzalez.
Let me tell you this. When I look at it, I wonder if we're living in Bangladesh or Delhi. That is all I can see. Because I tell you this, Akash.
You got to clarify that.
I'll tell you this. As a minister of government, the PNM government, Dr. Nayan Gatsby Tolly could tell you the pains at which we go through as a cabinet to appoint state boards. You couldn't bring a cabinet note by Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley with only a certain race being represented.
Now he said that. But we have some photos. The photos of the PNM board. So viewers, in a few minutes, we are going to show you some board members. So when you hear Marvin talking about ethnic and ethnic and ethnic, I ask myself, what is he really talking about? And then he said, you could not go to Keith Rowley with one ethnic. Social media has been blasting Marvin Gonzalez for those ridiculous statements. Anybody saw the board of Tiantec? Anybody saw other boards where Marvin said ethnic? We have it there? So Trinidad and Tobago, while you're preparing that, the minister said the former Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, would pull no punches about the racial composition of various boards under the PNM, as it must represent a diverse society like Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to this.
It must represent Trinidad and Tobago. That is how a PNM cabinet conducted itself. And he would ask you directly, is that board being taken from India if it only represents a particular race? Or is it a board from Ghana? And I remember Minister Imbut, as the corporation soul, would ask you, even before cabinet, is that a board from Mozambique? Because as far as the PNM is concerned, the appointment of state boards and persons and citizens who are qualified to serve on state boards, it must represent a diverse society like Trinidad and Tobago.
Gonzalez also voiced concerns over the political affiliation of some appointees to a state position. This after UNC campaign manager Feroza Khan was appointed as the new program manager of the Unemployment Relief Program, which is the URP, he said, "This reeks of political hypocrisy." Gonzalez.
And what we are seeing here today by the UNC government, if it doesn't trouble you, then I don't know what will going to trouble us as a society. And then you are seeing many of them being affiliated with government ministers, campaign managers, and the same people. One of them patterating, job for the boys and job for the girls, PNM boys and PNM girls, in true Padarat style. And in the same way, job for the boys, job for the PNM boys, job for the PNM girls. Look at who are the UNC girls and the UNC boys doing the same thing. Political hypocrisy to the highest.
So Trinidad and Tobago, this is former Tiantic board appointed by the PNM. Marvin wants to talk about ethnic. Marvin wants to talk about you could not carry that pit here with ethnic people to Keith Rowley. Tiantic board. Former IMA Institute of Marine Affairs. Marvin wants to talk about ethnic. Marvin, you should be ashamed to be a lawyer and then a minister and want to talk about ethnic. Why are you pushing race card? So Trinidad and Tobago, former East Port of Spain Development Board appointed by who? The PNM. Marvin wants to talk about ethnic. Marvin, I hope somebody send this video tonight. We have the UNC President Board. So Trinidad and Tobago, that was boards appointed by the PNM. Marvin wants to talk about ethnic and ethnic and ethnic. So presently Trinidad and Tobago, this is the NCC board. NCC, Marvin wants to talk about ethnic. Look at the mix. Marvin, you see, I just hate. I hate with a passion to see when you're here, we have people in position who wants to use race and race and race, like if you're on a race track. This is UNC present. What's that board? Marvin, you see the mix? You see in the mix, Marvin? It's sad to know you as an opposition member who once was in a former government that was running Trinidad and Tobago, and you find nothing else to talk about except race. I'm going to tell you something. It's stinking sad to know a big man like you could say such a thing. Pull a race card. Look the MTS board, Marvin. The present MTS board under the UNC. Marvin, you seen Bangladesh? You seen Delhi? It is a mix. And if you standing up and representing the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and pushing a race card, you should put a bag over your head. They should put a bag over your head. You know why I am saying that, put a bag over your head? So nobody would see your face. It's such a sad thing. A former policeman, I believe. A lawyer. No, a minister in the past administration, which is the PNM. Today you're in the opposition. Because why? The citizens of Trinidad and Tobago of both ethnic group voted you out, Marvin. It's such a disgusting thing to know. It's such a shameful thing to know that this is the only thing you could say about race and race and race. Anyhow, when you lack understanding and you lack common sense of the country you live in and the country that you represent, it's such a sad thing. It's such a sad thing. Now, let's Trinidad and Tobago. We're moving along. Now, Marvin again, we stayed on Marvin. Marvin saying the removal of the demerit point system was not a good idea. The PNM chairman of Aruca Lopino, MP Marvin Gonzalez, have stated that there is evidence to show that the system has reduced road fatalities by rehabilitating frequent traffic offenders. He said that over the years, there has been a reduction or deduction in road fatalities and encouraged great road safety due to the system. Listen to Marvin.
And what we have seen, what is the evidence? The evidence is that over the years, that we have seen a consistent reduction in road fatalities in Trinidad and Tobago, the lowest in many years. The demerit point system, Marlon, what is that system? It is a system that was put in place to track the behavior of drivers.
Yes.
Because one of the things that the previous government had recognized was that you had drivers who were consistently habitual traffic offenders. Many of those drivers, they have lives in their hands. They're driving buses, they're driving taxis, maxis, etc. And they are putting people's lives in jeopardy. And the demerit point system was a system to track the behavior of those drivers and to put them in a rehabilitative program to improve their ability to drive, to observe the laws of the road, and to improve road safety. The evidence is there. We have seen consistent reduction in road fatalities and other serious accidents and what have you.
Marvin, can you show the data that you have to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Said. Great program. You know, today we must label the PNM, all of them. Their first name must be shameless and disgrace to this country. It's not today we're dealing with race in this country, you know. And thank God for you and your program. Race was never spoken about and dealt with in this country. So God bless you. Your callers calling your program is years now and dealing with this race problem, you know. And look, today the Prime Minister of this country and head of the National Security Council signed off 800 police officers. Hello?
Yes.
800 police officers, SRP, they're going to absorb. Not one Gonzalez, not one Indian in that, and they satisfy the requirement. But you heard what Roger Alexander said? He's going to deal with that after. He don't care if they satisfy the requirement or not. He going by the law, and they will deal with that after. Mr. Said, we must not let them get away with this. They closed down a refinery. They did not even think about their own people, because Patrick Manning said they call it Petrosing. And at the time, it had 19% Indians in Petrochem, but they didn't care about their own people. They closed it down. You have a defense force, 1% Indian. Gonzalez, you really shameless. And the whole PNM, you have a police over 5% Indians. I want Dr. Boodoo, the health minister, to do an audit on the health sector. And this country, present it to the country on your program and all the program. And you will hold your head and all will be ashamed. Thank God they are doctors. And the government, they even make doctors regular yet. You know, you have over 300 doctors waiting to be employed. And not one of them are employed yet. So what you're talking about, race. That's what the PNM is all about. Suppose I call the citizen of this country, call the defense for the Ugandan Defense Force. What you will say, but we're not going to go down that road. We have integrity and we want to see this country build and go forward. All of violate the democracy and the constitution. Mr. Said, God bless you, you know. Without you, this this topic would have never been brought up in this country, and we delayed it for years on your program. You're the only program and the only person dealing with. God will richly bless you, Mr. Said. We have to fix it. This will fix. Thank you. God bless you and your staff, Mr. Said.
Thank you, my friend. So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, we want to hear from others concerning the same demerit point system when we return.
We'll be right back.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
Real Talk Financing is offering you 5% on a fixed deposit for 5 years and over, with upfront interest. Contact our central office at 238-6716 or our San Fernando office at 242-9944. You don't want to miss this great opportunity. Invest today and watch your investment work for you.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Real Talk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Real Talk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carnival Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome back.
So welcome back to Real Talk viewers. Now Trinidad and Tobago to Gonzalez now. Gonzalez added, he has no idea what factual data is being provided to Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bisasa for her to say the system is a failure. Marvin.
The Prime Minister, I don't know if the Prime Minister reads on a daily basis. I don't know what they feed this woman with. With the greatest of respect to the Honorable Prime Minister, I don't know what empirical data, what evidence was placed before her and the cabinet to justify. This was all a campaign promise. It sounds good, it looks good, you pander to the population, you engage in policies and programs that will sound good, scrap property tax, remove the merit points, and that sounds good, the ordinary people will fall for it, and in falling for it, they will put us in government. Notwithstanding the fact that these decisions are going to jeopardize public interest.
Marvin you say fall for it, I remember when you tell the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that they will have to cut down on carrying out their sons and daughters. They may not be able to make macaroni pie every Sunday, but once for the month. Your government gave them 4% or nothing, while you take 40%. You and your administration. It's sad, you know, but you're telling the citizens and them that they fall for it. Well, they fall for your nonsense for too long and decided to get rid of you all as a party. What do you have to say about that now, Marvin? Now, listen to Trinidad and Tobago. Before and after the election, the PM promised the UNC will scrap the system. At a post-cabinet news conference, Civil Aviation and Transport Minister Eli Zukur said, scrapped most of the demerit point system except for a 6 criminal offense. The number of demerit points need for license to be suspended will remain the same. Now, what I want to ask Marvin about all the demerit points and all the license being seized and people being suspended from driving. What I want to ask Marvin is how much money did the licensing department make? Marvin? How much money did the licensing department of Trinidad and Tobago made? But you want to go on a press conference and you want to yap your gum and you want to bump your teeth. But tell the citizens how much money the government inherited from all your pilot bill that all you pass. How much? How much did the private entity make, Marvin? You know, you wouldn't come out and tell the citizens that, you know. But you want to come out and condemn a promise that the UNC made. How many promises you all made? Did you all fulfill any? How much? It's sad. It's sad to know this is you, Marvin. And really sad. So moving along, viewers, short staff in custom and TTPS. The minister in the Ministry of Finance, Kennedy Saratan Singh, has identified severe understaffing as the root cause for many challenges faced by the Custom and Exercise Division and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. He elaborates that Custom was 100 officers short and the BIR is staffed at just 32%. You think I lie? Listen to this.
Yesterday I met with Customs. Customs have 100 officers short, 227 officers short. BIR was staffed at 32%. They're at 68% understaffed. The Director of Personnel Administration, no staff. The police service, 2,000 people or more short.
So Ratan Singh said that this can no longer be ignored and noted that these shortage are symptoms of a system that has been neglected. Listen to this.
I remember piloting a piece of legislation in 2008, 2009. Everywhere you look around, we are facing over and over again a depleted, so that when people criticize, especially when you look around and you say that the public service this or the public service that, let me tell you something. This is no longer a space where we have not invested in our people. We have not invested in technology. We have not invested in alternate ways of engaging with government. For far too long, we have all sat down and accepted the status quo.
After conducting assessment during his first 2 months in office, Saratan Singh said he traced multiple operations, problems, back to what? Manpower shortage. So when you go to BIR and you ask for something and they take 2 months to give you when they're supposed to give you in 2 weeks, they didn't have nobody. They didn't have a proper working staff. He also expressed frustration and a lack of progress since his last tenure. Listen to this.
I remember piloting a piece of legislation in 2008, 2009, data protection, electronic transactions. And I am back here 15 years, 16, 17 years later. And it's as if nothing's changed. So tell me, and we have all sat down. So there's nobody to blame. It is all of us to blame.
Trinidad and Tobago, Sir Ratan Singh said he also plans to return to his life in Barbados when his 5-year term with the government ends. Manpower shortage have long plagued these critical organizations. Contacted yesterday, TTPS Social and Welfare Association President ASP Gideon Dixon confirmed that the shortage remain around 1,400 officers. It's sad, you know, it's sad. It's sad. So we're going back to Gonzalez one more time. You know, for these days, I just loving Gonzalez's statement, you know, of how he condemns and condemns and condemns. But Gonzalez failed to understand. Gonzalez failed to understand. He was a member in the PNM administration, a minister that governs the PNM administration for the last 9.5 years. Marvin operating like he is new to this business. It's such a sad thing that his mind thinks one way. But nevertheless, we'll have fun with him on national television. We will have fun with him. So hear this now. Former Minister of National Security Marvin Gonzalez has claimed former police officer Roger Alexander is getting a taste of reality about crime now that he is Homeland Security Minister in the new UNC government. Imagine, Marvin made a statement. Marvin made a statement to Roger Alexander that he is now getting a taste about crime. So how long did Marvin stay in the police service? How long have Marvin been a lawyer? How long have Marvin been a PNM minister? But Marvin is telling Roger Alexander, who spent decades in the police service, that he is now getting a taste of reality. Ask Marvin if he ever run down anybody and bandits fell shot at him while he was in the police service. Ask Marvin that. Ask Marvin if he ever went or sanctioned raids. Can Marvin say yes to these things? So Marvin has been a minister in the PNM administration for 9 years, but condemning now Alexander, who reached the level of superintendent in Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. But Marvin Gonzalez is yapping his mouth that Alexander is now getting the taste of reality. Really, Marvin? For 9 years, the PNM ruled Trinidad and Tobago. They govern Trinidad and Tobago. What has your former colleague did for crime prevention in Trinidad? Other than sleep in Parliament. What did he do? What did Hines do? You're talking about a policeman who reached the level of a superintendent of police in Trinidad and Tobago. You telling him he is now seeing the reality of crime in Trinidad? But what did you do as a police officer when you was a police, Marvin? What did the Minister of National Security do to help Trinidad and Tobago? Come out and tell the citizens. Come out and tell them what you did. Come out and tell them what the PNM Minister of National Security did. You see, I will tell you something. The citizens of this country, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, they were fed up, Marvin, with you and your party. They're fed up of empty promises. They're fed up of everything. These citizens of Trinidad and Tobago came together, Marvin, and decided to remove you from governing Trinidad and Tobago. They decided to move your colleagues that was governing Trinidad and Tobago. They decided, Marvin, to remove the PNM from governing Trinidad and Tobago. So when you want to come now and yap on a platform, remember Marvin, and I will say this for the last time, remember Marvin Gonzalez, you were there for 9 long years. That's what I want you to remember. Marvin, he claimed Alexander was implying none of the agency which falls under his ministry or ministerial remit, such as the police, have the resources they need to fight crime. Listen to this.
The Minister of Homeland Security is saying, when we thought that we were going in and to cause an immediate impact, what we met is emptiness. He is now saying that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service that he was part of is emptiness. The intelligence agencies of this country are emptiness. The Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service is empty. And all of the arms of national security that he now is leading is empty. And I want to say to the minister that perhaps you bite more than you could chew, and you are now choking politically. But as a minister, you must first recognize that all institutions and organizations may not always have all of the resources that they need and that they want.
Marvin, I remember Sandy Grande. The officers had to walk with their own ink and pen. What about the officers who recently spoke to media? The one who guarded Rowley House. That they're fed up in that condition. Marvin, who was governor for 9 years? I want to hear you. I want to hear you say, me, Saeed. I was the Minister of National Security. That's what I want you to hear you say. What did you do? You see, Marvin, you will go up on a platform and yap and yap and yap and yap. And the people of Trinidad and Tobago would be like, so this man is tired, bumpy gum? This man has realized he not governing Trinidad anymore and he in the opposition because we the citizens decided to move him from where he was. It's sad. But nevertheless, Gonzalez also rejected Alexander's claim that of emptiness. Listen to him.
To tell the country and the world that what you have inherited is emptiness, because I can tell you that there is no truth to it. In all of these organizations, despite their challenges, you have men and women who are capable of doing the work. So I reject out of hand that what you have inherited is emptiness. You are just looking for excuses because the transition for you obviously is very difficult.
Marvin, let me say this on national television. Police officers complaining of expired bulletproof vests. Police complaining about they can't get their back pay. Police complaining about they don't have enough vehicles. Police complaining about the station not fit to work. Police complaining about the clothes. Police complaining about their shoes. But Marvin, Roger Alexander knows exactly what is going on with TTPS. You lost touch of the police officers and of national security matters. You and Hines all lost touch. I could tell all you that. I don't have to go on a platform to convince people I'd rather sing for a supper. I'd rather sing for a supper. It's sad, yes? Now, the minister also repeated that PNM claim that the UNC is not prepared for governance. Oh God, I'll listen to this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say on this point that it is clear that the UNC has not prepared itself for governance in Trinidad and Tobago. They fooled the population by first being obstructionists, and then they offered cheap, empty slogans and taglines and built an army of hate against the previous PNM government and hoped that was enough to get them in government. And now that they're in government is water more than flour. They do not know if to turn left, they do not know if to turn right. And their nakedness is now exposed for all to see.
The nakedness of the UNC has been exposed, according to Marvin, for all to see. Again, I would say this, Marvin, to you. You told the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, you, Marvin, it was your words, not Saieed, not the people. You told the citizens that they cannot make macaroni pie whole month. They had to make it one time for the month, Marvin. All you offer the people 4% or nothing. Is it all you take 4% or all you go home? Who gave all you 40%, Marvin? Who gave all you 40% increase? Did the citizens give all of that? No, it's a stinking shame that the CPO did an audit and a report and find all you should get more. While Keith Rowley only saying to the citizens, all you tighten all the belt, eh? All you tighten all the belt, eh? All you tighten all the belt, yeah? While the PNM cabinet decided to raise the gas price in Trinidad and Tobago when Guyana and Barbados dropped the gas price. The cabinet took the decision to shut down Petrotrain. Marvin, you're forgetting. Marvin, I here to remind you. Marvin, I here to tell the people and them about all their promises and all their promises and all their promises. And you know what took place on the 28th of April? Marvin, you want to know? The citizen of Trinidad and Tobago who voted you all in the last election 5 years before the 28th of April 2025, the people of Trinidad and Tobago put all in power for their second term. But you know what, Marvin? On the 28th of April, I believe, was the general election. The citizens, decided to move you, Marvin, and your party, and your colleagues. Why did they make that choice? You want to ask the people, Marvin, on our platform, why they made that choice and see the response you will get? You might put a bag over your head. Call her good night.
A very, very good evening to you, Mr. Saieed.
Go right ahead, you're live.
You're on point. You're on target. I like where you're going with this. Because if the PNM was performing, they would have won the election. But it wasn't performing, and the nation make a big decision. Isn't that the same Marvin who didn't know if the pipe have a leak, there was loose pressure? Just like your tire, Marvin, if you have a leak in the tire, it will go down. It will lose pressure and it will go down. And it's so funny. After 9.5, almost 10 years, they now have all the answers. All the best. Have a great evening, sir.
Thank you, my friend. So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, just a reminder, viewers, just in today, not too long ago, the Minister of Homeland Security, Roger Alexander, have stated that 800 special reserve officers will be absorbed into the regular rank of police in the police service to help address shortage. He gave this update in this evening's post-cabinet. But I want to let her listen this. Gonzalez claimed Alexander's utterance are causing more fear in the country than crime itself. He also told Alexander, this is the real show. Listen to this.
I want to tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the government is now in charge and the UNC is now in charge. And the utterances of their Minister of Homeland Security is causing more fear in the country than crime itself. The utterances of the Minister of Homeland Security is causing more fear and driving more fear in the national psyche than crime itself. And I want to tell the Minister, Honorable Minister, this is not the Crime Watch show. Honorable Minister, this is not the Beyond the Tape show. You cannot cycle your way out of this. You cannot hand wrestle your way out of this by distraction. This is the real show. And now it's time to show your capacity to fix the problem. And telling the country to wait and have patience is not going to help. This is the real show, and the country awaits the delivery of a clear policy by this government to deal with the crime situation, because you had 9 years to prepare yourself for this.
You all listen closely what Marvin is telling Alexander. The PNM administration, the Ministry of National Security, did nothing, absolutely nothing to fix crime in Trinidad and Tobago. Ola Hayward Christopher did absolutely nothing. She admitted to all her plans failed. But Marvin is telling Alexander, this is the real show. So I want to ask Marvin now. When he was the Minister of National Security, was it a real show or was it a fake show? Murder, house invasion, more guns, more drugs, more robberies, more people losing their car. What Marvin had to, could Marvin come out and tell the public what he did for Trinidad and Tobago when he was the Minister of National Security? Could Marvin come out and say what Fitzgerald Hines did for Trinidad and Tobago concerning security? Roger Alexander has been the Minister of Homeland Security for 73 days. No, I lie. Probably about a few weeks, because the UNC presently governing Trinidad and Tobago about 73 days. And Roger Alexander recently got his portfolio. A few weeks. But Roger Alexander is working on policies and strategies to present to Trinidad and Tobago, because he now got this position. He just got the position a few weeks ago. So I want Marvin now to come out and tell Trinidad and Tobago what policy, what strategy he gave to Trinidad and Tobago when he was there. Come out and tell us, Marvin. We are waiting patiently to hear and to see and to understand what you did. So bring on the real show now, Marvin. Bring it on. Because Saieed waiting to see. Again, I would say, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago make a decision, Marvin, to move you, to move your colleagues, to move the PNM government from ruling and governing Trinidad and put Oli in your position. That is what the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago did. What did you do, Marvin? You told the citizens, you, Marvin, told the citizens who moved you from power that they could only afford to carry their child out one time for the month. while you are forced to carry your family now 30 days for the month. Why? You got an increase of over 40%. And the citizens now only push 4% down their throat. That is why you are, Marvin, where you are today, on the opposition. Who put you there? Did side? No side didn't put you there. The citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, who you are now trying to convince. It's sad, right? It's stinking sad. I'm telling you that on national television. So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break. But when we come back now, is our next bacchanal with Dan Paul. What bacchanal? After this break, you'll find out more.
We'll be right back.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
Real Talk Financing is offering you 5% on a fixed deposit for 5 years and over with upfront interest. Contact our central office at 238-6716 or our San Fernando office at 242-9944. You don't want to miss this great opportunity. Invest today and watch your investment work for you.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Real Talk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Real Talk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carnival Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concern. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome back.
So Trinidad and Tobago. Now call on line, call like a night. Right, nice. Former Finance Minister Vishnu Dan Paul have stated that Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bisasa and Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur are wrong to give any impression that economy crashed under the former PNM administration. So Dan Paul, I will pause right here and I will say this.
Just to come back.
Dr. Keith Rowley has been telling the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that we are heading for desperate times and we need desperate measures and to tighten your damn belt. What does tighten your belt means? Dan Paul, what does that mean? Comment from Keith Rowley. And clanging, but we never have money. We never. Here's the reason why they tax the citizens by implementing new tax regime until they tax all you out of government. Stinking sad. But nevertheless, Dan Paul, now an opposition senator, says there is information in the public domain to indicate this is not so, and he will never bad talk the economy. Nobody expecting you to bad talk it. The reality around us will say everything. Referring to comments made by the PM about a 4 billion deficit in May, Dan Paul cautioned the government about making false claim about the economy failing. He said, governments need to be aware, external, such as International Monetary Fund, IMF, and rating agencies such as Moody, Fitch, and Standard & Poor's are always listening. But I want to remind Dan Paul that even the former finance minister, Burt, used to say, well, I don't believe in this report, and I don't believe in that report, and this report is fake, and I'm not going to listen to them. Dan Paul, you forgot or what? Ask me, I will remind you. You see this? This is what I do. I remind the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago about the things ministers do, about the things ministers say, about promises and promises and promises that were never fulfilled. But like Dan Paul, you yourself forgetting? And you a former minister of finance, you work with Colin Imbert, but you can't remember what is taking place? You getting senile at a young age. But nevertheless, the minister then gave evidence to show that the state of the economy is not as gloomy as the UNC claimed it to be. He said, Trinidad Generation Limited, TGU, recently raised $525 million in US on the international bond market to be able to finance existing debits. So I want to ask Dan Paul, how come police officers are still waiting for back pay? Security officers, police. Imagine that, eh? It's sad. Listen to the Trinidad and Tobago.
But just to come back on the economy crash, I just want to use two pieces of information that I have to show that it may not be correct for the minister to say that. On June 17th, the Trinidad Generation Unlimited raised US $525 million. June 17th this year, sorry. You raised US $525 million on the external market. And I quote from the Trinidad Express. For the first time in nearly a decade, Trinidad Generation Unlimited had returned to the international bond market, raising US $525 million to help refinance its existing debt and improve its financial footing. The bond issue was 3 times oversubscribed. Now, if you are a potential bondholder or you are a potential institutional investor, you are not going to invest in any bond from any state enterprises from any country that the economy crashed.
I want you all to listen to what he said. First time in a decade. First time in a decade. So what was going on before that? What about 8 years back? 7 years back? 6 years back? What about that? Saddened. But nevertheless, moving along. Dan Paul also offered suggestions that the UNC could consider with respect to stimulating the economy growth. So why didn't you give Colin Imbert? Why didn't you give Keith Rowley? Why didn't you give Stuart Young all these stimulating ideas so that one had to close down the refinery? And 5,000 plus people lost job. You couldn't do it when you were part of the Ministry of Finance, but now you're telling the UNC what to do? Huh. Like you now wake up from sleeping? He then used data from the central bank as he identified a steady increase in credit to the private sector from 2022 to April as further evidence of work done by the PNM to strengthen the economy during the 9 years in office. Listen to Dan Paul. So viewers, we are out of time, but nevertheless, we're going to bring back this tomorrow. I want you all to hear this. So until we meet again, viewers, good night.